There's alarming new reporting today on a story we've been covering all week about how national extremist groups have localized to try to disrupt the upcoming midterm elections. Axios says members of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers have been targeting local voters and election workers by signing up as poll watchers and as those self-appointed Dropbox watchers whose intimidation and harassment have led to disturbing complaints from voters across the country. Some of those pictures we showed you yesterday. Our guest Mary McCord warned mayors this week about the threat to local elections and what she's hearing on right-wing social networks. Things like this, quote, focus on county over country, capture your local county, then several of them, then maybe your state, McCord warned, quoting from a post on right-wing social network Gab. We're back with Mary McCord. Mary, tell me what you warn them and what they can do about these threats.
Yeah, thank you. You know, this is not totally dissimilar to the things we were worried about in 2020, but I think there's been a lot more sort of strategy and organizing between 2020 and these midterms, so that there are very localized efforts driven by those who are trying to make sure that there's a concerted effort at the local level, right? They're not all necessarily operating independently, but a very, very concerted effort at a decentralized voter intimidation scheme, as well as election worker intimidation scheme, just really anything to muck things up. So in addition to the types of things you've already been showing your viewers this week, like people set up outside ballot drop boxes to videotape people trying to deposit their ballots, signage outside of drop boxes that's misleading and false and suggests that you might be committing a crime by depositing your ballot in somebody else's, even in states where that's not a crime. These things are very intimidating, but there are also, you know, other types of efforts to just make it very, very difficult. Election officials are being inundated with public records requests. Now, public records requests are important ways for members of the public to get transparency from their government. It's something that I use in my litigation practice. Many people do, but this is part of a concerted effort to literally inundate them with thousands of redundant and repetitive requests, so that they're so busy responding to these are requests for like information, detailed information about how they're handling election administration, that it will paralyze them from doing their jobs. We're seeing efforts across multiple different jurisdictions across the country to pressure officials into going back to using paper ballots, something that we know is not nearly as reliable as computerized ballots with a paper record. So all of these efforts are really, part of this strategy to not only threaten and intimidate, but also just really gum up the works, which will lead to the, ability to file lawsuits. They might be frivolous, they might be baseless, but they're trying to set up a rationale that would allow the filing of those suits. So it's important for mayors, police chiefs, election officials, secretaries of state to sort of see the bigger picture, because sometimes I think you don't really see how what's happening in your community might connect elsewhere, and make strong statements against this. Make sure they're prepared. Chief Ramsey was on that call with the mayors with me on Monday and said, you need to be meeting right now in your communities with your law enforcement, your election officials, your mayors, your community activists, voting rights individuals, etc., both parties making plans right now to make sure everyone has the ability to vote without intimidation or fear, and to protect our election officials.